Welcome to the Rebel to Succeed podcast. It's your boy Ink, Anthony Williams, the founder of rebeltosucceed.com. The purpose of this podcast is to share tips, advice, and strategies to help you improve in all areas of your life. My mission is to make a positive difference in your life to help you live your best life. Now let's get it. What up, Rebels? It's your boy Ian from Rebel to Succeed coming at you with another podcast episode. Today in this podcast, I wanted to share some inspiration, some motivation, some positive messages from one of the greatest basketball players that we have ever known, which is none other than Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant is one of my favorite athletes. I love his mentality when it comes to success and working hard and things of that nature. He has a lot of knowledge and a lot of things to share. And I wanted to share some clips from him, some of my favorite clips from Kobe Bryant. I wanted to share with you guys because I know you guys are going to be able to find some type of, positivity and some type of, positive messages and some type of value out of his messages. So check out these clips by Kobe Bryant.
Basketball for me was the most important thing. So everything I saw, whether it was TV shows, whether it was books I read, people I talked to, everything was done to try to learn how to become a better basketball player. Everything. And so when you have that point of view, then literally the world becomes your library to help you to become better at your craft.
I mean, you hear so many guys tell stories about your work ethic.
Yeah.
What was really your work ethic like, and for how long did you stay disciplined?
Every day. Since 20 years. It was an everyday process and trying to figure out strengths and weaknesses. For example, jumping ability. My vertical was a 40, it wasn't a 46 or a 45. My hands are big, but they're not massive. Right, so you got to figure out ways to strengthen them so your hands are strong enough to be able to palm a ball and do the things that you need to do. Quickness, I was quick, but not insanely quick. I was fast, but not ridiculously fast. Right, so I had to rely on skill a lot more. I had to rely on angles a lot more. I had to study the game a lot more. And but I enjoyed it though. So like from the time I can remember when I started watching the game, I studied the game and it just never changed.
Did you have ways to improve your game by looking at data, looking at conditioning? What were some of the factors you looked at on how to improve your game season after season?
The game itself it's a complicated answer. So there are very tactical things in terms of footwork and geometry of the court. So you're looking at the court and looking at the 45-degree angles that the court is shaped in and how it needs to operate. That's one component to it. So looking at spots on the floor where you can increase your efficiency, right? You can be on the wing, but there's a certain spot on the wing that improves your angle to drive to the basket, right? So that sort of stuff. Footwork of the opposition, looking at the emotion of the opposition, their tendencies, their weaknesses, and all that stuff. Understanding the momentum of the game, how to create momentum shifts, where momentum shifts come from, all this sort of stuff. And then studying outside of that, right? Looking at different industries, looking at conductors, looking at writers, looking at actors and how they get into character, and then how do they keep themselves in that mental space. So looking at different industries, looking at nature itself and learning from that and how you can incorporate that into the game. It's a lot of studying. If your job is to try to be the best basketball player you can be, right? To do that, you have to practice, you have to train, right? You want to train as much as you can, as often as you can. So if you get up at 10 in the morning, train at 11, right? 12, say 12, train at 12, train for 2 hours, 12 to 2. You have to let your body recover. So you eat, recover, whatever. You get back out, you train, start training again at 6. Train from 6 to 8, right? And now you go home, you shower, you eat dinner, you go to bed, you wake up, you do it again, right? Those are 2 sessions, right? Now imagine you wake up at 3, you train at 4. You go 4 to 6, come home, breakfast, relax, blah, blah, blah. Now you're back at it again, 9 to 11, right? You relax, and now all of a sudden you're back at it again, 2 to 4, And now you're back at it again, 7 to 9. Look how much more training I have done by simply starting at 4, right? And so now you do that, and as the years go on, the separation that you have with your competitors and your peers just grows larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. And by year 5 or 6, doesn't matter what kind of work they do in the summer, they're never going to catch up because they're 5 years behind. Right? So it makes sense to get up and start your day early because you can get more work in.
Is that genetic? Or is that something you ingrained and trained yourself?
No, it was
Who
just,
taught you that?
For me, it was just common sense. Like I can, if I start earlier, I can train more hours. And I know the other guys aren't doing it because I know what their training schedule is. Right? So I know if I do this consistently over time, the gap's just going to widen and widen and widen and widen and widen, and they won't be able to get that back. Mm-hmm. So to me, it was just common sense and like thinking, how can I get an advantage? Oh, start earlier. Yeah, it's funny. Like to me, the mentality is a really simple one in the sense that the confidence comes from preparation. So when the game's on the line, I'm not asking myself to do something that I haven't done thousands of times before, right? So when I prepare, I know what I'm capable of doing. I know what I'm comfortable doing, and I know what I'm not comfortable doing. Right? And so in those moments, if it looks like I'm ice cold or not nervous, it's because I've done it thousands of times before. So what's one more time? It's really simple. It's like whatever you're doing at that moment is what you're doing at that moment. It's like that's where the obsessiveness is having attention to detail for the action that you are performing at the time you're performing it. And if you can have that kind of focus, you can't help but to have a certain level of obsession or attention to detail. So like if you're saying, okay, I'm going to climb Mount Everest, you're at the bottom of the mountain and you look up and you're going, I'm not going to climb Mount Everest, right? But if you break it down into sections and you just one foot in front of the other, one step at a time, next thing you know, you're at the top of the mountain. Well, no, I mean, it's that's the trick, isn't it? It's finding what you love to do. I mean, we talk about hard work all the time. It's like, man, if you got to get up every single morning and remind yourself how hard you need to work, you probably need to choose a different profession, because that shouldn't be there. I wake up in the morning excited to get to it. If I'm not training, I'm missing it. If I'm not watching a game of basketball, I miss it. There's no place I'd rather be. And if you have that feeling, then you're truly doing what God has put you on this earth to do. I think the best way to prove your value is to work, is to learn, is to absorb, to be a sponge, right? But you always want to outwork your potential. As hard as you believe you can work harder than that. I always dreamed as a kid that, it was possible to score 80 or 90 or 100. I always just had a dream. Like sometimes you lay down in bed and you visualize things and you just kind of, that's at least how I would go to sleep. I'd lay down, I'd imagine playing for the Lakers, and I'd imagine what the uniforms look like. I'd imagine where we'd be playing and, the smell of the arena and all sort of stuff. And I would see myself, getting hot, and score 10 straight points. But in a dream, like, why would you ever interrupt that? Like, you're not going to have a dream and be like, okay, and then he misses his next 6. Like, it's not going to happen. So you just keep dreaming and dreaming and dreaming. And before I go to sleep, I'm like at 120 points, And so when you grow up, downloading that into your brain over and over and over. And then, that summer, I made 1,000 shots a day. 1,000, right? That's on top of weight training and my conditioning. I made 1,000 shots, and they weren't just shots. It were shots that you saw in that game. They were specific shots. I mean, it was coming out of the corner, going to the pinch post, footwork in the post, coming off the screen. It was very specific. So when you download that into your system and you go out in the court and you're just executing things that you've done thousands of times before, and you have that dream, then that becomes possible. I just dream. I dream. I have dreams, and dreams they should be pure. And I think a lot of times, when we're born into this world, we actually wind up going backwards. And it seems like the more we mature, the more responsible our dreams become, and the more governors we put on ourselves and our ability to dream and to reimagine. And it's always a fight for us parents and for you guys to make sure that your dreams always stay pure. And so it's not a matter of pushing beyond your limitations or expectations. It's really a matter of protecting your dreams, protecting your imagination, That's really the key. And when you do that, then the world just seems limitless. Well, I mean, overall, the idea is a very simple one. And, the Mamba mentality simply means trying to be the best version of yourself. That's what the mentality means. It means every day, you're trying to become better. Well, I mean, because I think the greatest fear that we face is ourselves, actually. I think it's not anything that's external or anything that's superficial. I think the greatest fear you face is yourself, because we all have dreams, and it's very scary sometimes to accept the dream that you have, and it's scarier still to say, okay, I want that. It's scary because you're afraid that if you put your heart and soul into it and you fail, then how are you going to feel about yourself, right? So being fearless means putting yourself out there and going for it. No matter what, go for it. Not for anybody else, but for yourself.
So that was the clips from Kobe Bryant. You can tell he's a very the guy knows a lot. He knows what he's talking about. He's achieved a lot in his life. He has, passed away. Him and his daughter, they died in a airplane crash, right along with some other folks. So rest in peace to all of them, first and foremost. But I wanted to, keep his spirit alive and share some things that you guys would find value in. Kobe Bryant was one of the best basketball players in the world. He's achieved most. He's achieved more than what a lot of basketball players probably would never ever achieve. And he's done it through hard work and commitment and dedication to the game of basketball. So he's a very successful person, basically. And I know that in these clips, you guys can find something to hold on to use in your own personal life. I love listening to Kobe Bryant and a lot of his knowledgeable messages and his interviews, and basically just just trying to learn as much as I can from him, because you want to learn from successful people. And Kobe Bryant is a very successful person. You know what I mean? His legacy still lives on. What he even though he's passed away, it doesn't erase anything that he's done in the past, and you can learn from great people like Kobe Bryant. So, again, I love his mentality, the Mamba mentality, which is to keep pushing forward, to always learn and adapt, and never give up. And that mentality is just, I feel like it's a very necessary mindset. It's a very necessary mindset you need to have to be able to be successful. So, yeah, you got to have the Mamba mentality. And I love some of the messages that he shared in these clips. And one of my personal favorite that I like to share is, he talks about the greatest fear that we face is ourselves. And it all comes and it all boils back down to us. It always boils back and comes back to us. And it's an underlining theme in some of people's messages and some of these clips and things that I share. Is always an underlining theme of you gotta it all starts with you. It comes back to you, and you have to be mindful of change, and how you want to manipulate your reality. So if you want to manipulate your reality and you want to change your reality and you want to change your future, and you want to make sure that you have a better future than your past, and if you want to take your life in your own hands, and you want to change your financial situation, change your relationship with your wife, with your kids, with your husband, with your family, with your brother, your sister, your mother, your dad. If you want to change anything, it's probably going to start with you, yourself, and how you approach things, your attitude, your mindset, and just your actions. I keep telling you guys that you have to focus on what you can control, and that's entirely you and yourself. Those are the only that's really the only thing that you can control. So, if you want to change anything in your life, you have to focus on changing yourself first. So, yeah, Kobe Bryant is one of the greatest basketball players, one of the great minds of of the sport of basketball, and just an overall inspirational person. So, hopefully you guys learned something from Kobe Bryant. in this episode. And if so, if you found some value in it, I invite you to subscribe to the podcast for more episodes like this, and to share a review on what you thought about some of his clips and some of his messages. And I want you to go out and rebel to succeed. Reach everybody by exercising love. Be a positive force in somebody's life today. And it's your boy Ian from Rebel to Succeed. And I'll catch you guys in the next episode. I want to thank you for joining me today and listening to this podcast. If you found this episode helpful or valuable in any way, then I encourage you to leave an honest review and subscribe to the Rebel to Succeed podcast for future episodes. To receive more content and value, make sure to visit the Rebel to Succeed website at www.rebeltosucceed.com. And finally, always remember that to succeed in life, you have to reach everyone by exercising love. So make sure to show somebody some love today. Thanks again, and I'll talk to you next time.